This is the story of Leon and Jelly. One evening, Jelly got ready by putting on makeup and picked her best dress for a party. She told Leon, "I'm going to a colleague's birthday party. Don't wait for me. I might be late." Leon sat on the sofa, watching Jelly rush around. "You're going out too much, Jelly," he said, trying to sound calm, but inside he was worried. "I can't help but feel like something's wrong every time you go out." Jelly felt a bit embarrassed when she heard that and didn't look Leon in the eye. She kept picking out her high heels. "Don't worry so much," she said softly, but her voice still sounded uneasy. "It's just a party with friends, nothing big. But I don't think it's right, Jelly. You go out too much without telling me where you're going or who you're with. I feel like you're hiding something," Leon continued, feeling the tension in the air increase. Jelly paused for a moment, and a hint of confusion flashed in her eyes. Leon stood up from his chair, his eyes filled with worrying and fatigue. "Don't go out tonight," Leon said, his voice low and serious. "I can't stand you going out like this, Jelly." Jelly looked annoyed, but tried to keep her composure. "It's just a party, Leon. I'll be back soon, I promise." "It's not about coming back early or late, Jelly," Leon interrupted. "The problem is that you keep going out so often, and I feel like I'm not important anymore. We're drifting apart. I can't keep going like this." Jelly felt cornered, her eyes flickering to Leon for a moment before looking out the door. "I don't want to argue with you right now, Leon. I just want to go party with my friends. That's all," she said, and turned to walk out the door, his eyes becoming determined. "If you leave tonight, don't come back." Leon's words felt like a knife to Jelly. She froze for a moment, her hand on the doorknob, too scared to move. His words shocked and surprised her. She never thought it would get this bad. What do you mean?" Jelly asked, her voice shaking. "Then maybe there's nothing left for us to talk about," Leon replied, his voice cold but filled with emotion. "I've suffered enough, Jelly. If you leave tonight, you don't need to come back here anymore." Jelly stood there, hesitating for a moment, looking at Leon with a confused gaze. She understood clearly that what he had just said was not just a warning, but a line that if she crossed, things would never be the same again. But then, she decided to ignore the tension that was weighing down on them. She sighed softly and said, her voice firmer, "I'm going. We'll talk later when we get home. Leon, it's just a party. Don't make a big deal out of it." With that, Jelly turned and walked quickly out the door without looking back. The door closed behind her with a cold sound, making the atmosphere in the room more silent and heavy than ever. Leon sat there, his eyes empty, unable to believe what had just happened. Jelly's last words were like a knife cutting deep into his heart. "She chose the party, chose her friends over me." Leon thought to himself, a feeling of disappointment and hurt flooding his mind. He wondered if this marriage was still worth anything when Jelly clearly considered her parties and freedom more important than their relationship. About an hour after Jelly left, a friend of mine called me and said, "I saw your wife walking down the street with another man. Do you know about this?" Leon asked some questions, but he only said that when he was on the street, he met Leon's wife and a man passing by. That night, Leon sat on the sofa. In the dark, Leon stared at the door where Jelly had left and thought about what his friend had said. He couldn't stop thinking about what had just happened. Anger and disappointment filled his heart. "I can't keep going like this," he thought. He stood up, feeling heavy, weighed down by his negative thoughts. He decided to leave. The next morning, Leon acted as if nothing had happened. Jelly felt a little embarrassed about what she had done to him the day before. But Leon didn't say anything that morning, and Jelly chose to stay quiet too. Jelly was getting ready for work. She didn't suspect anything, didn't realize the silent changes that were happening in her husband's heart. Leon silently watched her through sad eyes as Jelly walked out the door, unaware that he had made an irreversible decision. As the door closed behind her, Leon sighed as if a burden had been lifted from his heart. His steps were heavy, but his determination to leave was clearer than ever. He opened the wardrobe, carefully selecting a few clothes and necessary personal items. The suitcase was ready, not many things, just enough to start a new life. With his luggage in hand, Leon walked out of the house. It wasn't a spontaneous act, but a release that he had been thinking about all night. On the way, he stopped by the bank, withdrawing the money from the shared account they had built together over the years. Leon didn't look back, didn't hesitate anymore. He walked towards his new life and a new place. When Jelly returned home, her initial feeling of normalcy quickly turned to panic when she discovered that Leon was gone. Everything that belonged to Leon, clothes, suitcases, and even a few personal items, were all gone, leaving only an empty space in the house they had once shared. Her heart pounded, fear rising little by little as she realized something had changed forever. Jelly quickly pulled out her phone and called Leon, her hands shaking, her voice faltering with worrying as the phone rang for a long time. When Leon finally picked up, she couldn't help but feel panic in her voice. "Why didn't you tell me? Did I do something wrong?" Her voice trembled, and tears were close to falling as she tried to make sense of everything. "I know why, Jelly. You can't keep living like this in our relationship anymore. I ignored all the signs, chose parties, friends, and worse, I betrayed you," Leon said. "Do you want me to just accept it?" Jelly asked, her voice breaking. "That's not what I meant," she continued. "I just needed some space. I didn't think it would hurt you this much. I'm sorry. Please come back and listen to my explanation." But Leon interrupted coldly. "No need, Jelly. Your explanation doesn't matter now. This marriage is over. I can't keep going like this." Without waiting for Jelly to say more, Leon hung up, leaving her overwhelmed with confusion and deep pain. Tears streamed down her face, her heart full of regret and fear of losing the person she still loved. But maybe it was too late to fix things. After leaving the house they once shared, Leon moved to a new city, where he planned to start fresh. The lonely life was not easy at first, but the freedom from a stressful relationship gradually brought him peace. A smart, charming, and warm woman. She had also just gone through a breakup, and the two quickly found sympathy in each other. They started chatting, at first just small talk, but then the meetings gradually became more intimate. Lena listened to Leon talk about his past, without judgment, just gently encouraged him to move forward. The two began to have simple dates, from simple dinners to long walks in the park. Lena brought Leon the sense of peace and trust that he had lost. As time passed, their relationship became more and more attached. A year after Leon left his old marriage with Jelly, he decided to remarry. He proposed to Lena on a beautiful afternoon in the middle of the flower garden, where they often walked. Lena said yes, her eyes bright with happiness. After Leon left Jelly, her life fell apart. The men she had chased, the flashy parties, and the fun were gone. Every day, the house felt more and more empty and cold. She had lost her true love, and now there was no one to comfort or listen to her. Jelly had to face the consequences of her affair. Second story. My girlfriend and I have been together for over 4 years, and we have a great relationship. I love her a lot and plan on marrying her. However, this past weekend, I went out with some friends to a few bars. There was a guy selling flowers, and I somehow ended up with roses, but I'm not sure if I bought them or if my friend did, and I took them. I don't really remember. I was reminded, and have small bits of memory, that I tried to give the roses to another girl, but she didn't accept them, thankfully, and then my friends and I moved on. The next day, my friend reminded me how I blacked out, and he had to carry me home. He also brought up the flower situation and mentioned something about other girls at the bar, but I don't know if I was involved. For the past few days, I felt really guilty and unsure if I should tell my girlfriend. She's an amazing person, and I can't imagine her doing anything like this. I don't want to hurt her or risk losing her. Since this happened, I've realized I have a problem with drinking and have stopped drinking altogether. Should I tell her, or is it something I should let go and promise myself to never let happen again?